All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Here's what I have for you today. It's a lot. So, right off the bat here, we're going to discuss how Trump is now officially in all-out war with the court system. This is wild to see, man. I'm going to walk you through it, give you all the details of it. Then we're going to get to Jon Stewart versus Chuck Schumer. Jon is absolutely gobsmacked by Schumer's pathetic weakness. We'll have a lot to say about that one. Also, this one is horrifying, but it looks like we're heading directly for war with Iran. Not only are they planning it, it looks like they are deep into the planning of an all-out war. So, red alert here, man. 5-alarm fire right in front of our faces. So we'll talk about that. And then later on, there's a Republican politician who is officially trying to declare Trump derangement syndrome a mental illness. Okay? Oh, wait until you hear what he did, bro. Wait until you hear what this guy did, dog. Oh my God, it's wild. It is wild. So we have all that and more. Do me a big favor, guys. Subscribe to the channel. That helps out massively and costs you nothing. If you do one thing to help this show out, all I need you to do is subscribe. And a massive, massive thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. I can't express enough how much you guys make this show work. This is real independent media. We're grassroots. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I've never done an ad read ever, and that's because you guys fund the show basically $5 a month at a time. So again, shout out to all of you who hook a brother up with a monthly tip on Patreon. If you haven't done that, please consider it. And yeah, that's where we're at. So thanks again, guys. I love you for all the support. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it here. So let's start with this. As you all know, Trump basically rounded up total randos and said, you're going to a prison in El Salvador. You're going to a prison in El Salvador that's known for slave labor. So quite literally, ICE went around rounding up people. Zero due process, zero habeas corpus, not allowed to talk to their lawyers, and they immediately shipped them out of the country. Now, of course, literally the first court this is going to get in front of, what the fuck do you think they're going to say? What do you think they're going to say? I don't care if they're left-wing judges, centrist judges, or right-wing judges. Any judge you put this in front of is going to say the same thing. And they did. So this guy by the name of Judge Boasberg goes, no, this is totally illegal. This is totally unconstitutional. I don't give a fuck if the planes are in the air. Turn them bitches around and bring them back here. And so what happened? The Trump administration goes, tee-hee-hee. Well, we would listen to your ruling, but the plane was already over international waters, so your ruling doesn't apply. Tee-hee. Which is ludicrous. Ludicrous. That's a lie. They know that's a lie. By the way, we learned that at least one of the planes was still at the airport in the U.S. So, like, objectively, provably a lie. But second of all, even for the plane that was over international waters, it doesn't fucking matter. It's not like, oh, the ruling magically doesn't apply because I asserted that it's got to be within the border of the U.S. That's not the way it works. That's like saying, oh, a judge can't rule on anything involving Gitmo because that's not within the borders of the U.S. Obviously, that's untrue, and cases have ruled on stuff involving Gitmo, right? So, like, they're barely fucking, they're not even trying, dog. They're not even trying. They're going, ha-ha, hee-hee, we're fascists, we're authoritarians, go fuck yourself. Like, that's what's happening right now. Okay, so we got some more information on these people. You're not going to be surprised to learn. Yet again, they lied. Here we go. The men sent to do hard labor in an El Salvadorian prison with no due process include a tattoo artist seeking asylum who entered the country legally, a teen who got a tattoo in Dallas because he thought it looked cool, and a 26-year-old whose tattoos his wife says are unrelated to a gang. Unrelated to a gang. So in other words, the more journalists dig, the more they find out, holy shit, these people have nothing to do with Tren de Aragua, the gang. In fact, some of them came from the state of Aragua in Venezuela, and they were very likely fleeing the gang violence. And now Trump is like, you're close enough to a gang member, I'm going to send you back there. This is fucking crazy. And actually, the lucky ones are not going to El Salvador. The lucky ones, I think they were either sent to Honduras or Venezuela. I don't remember which. I read Honduras, but other people I've seen say Venezuela. But like, a lot of these people are just going to literally like a slave labor camp, no access to a lawyer, no access to journalists. And it's just like, hey, you're on your own. We've never seen anything like this, bro. This is like an American Gestapo that has been basically unleashed right in front of our eyes. And that's why you see political prisoners now, like Mahmoud Khalil, leading pro-Palestine protests, and they fucking disappear him. A U.S.-born citizen was walking near Chicago in January. ICE snatched him off the street, handcuffed him, threw him into a van. His wallet, which held his ID, was confiscated. He was detained for 10 hours before being released without a record of what occurred. So they don't keep a record because they're trying to hide it. Snatched up a U.S. citizen, kept him for 10 hours. This is right in line with other story we heard. Newark, New Jersey, they snatched up somebody who's a U.S. citizen and also a veteran. They detained a whole Puerto Rican family, U.S. citizens, including a toddler. They deported a surgeon. They deported a 10-year-old girl with cancer who was recovering, like, literally post-surgery. They tortured a German green card holder, permanent legal resident of the United States in New Hampshire. These are the stories we're getting now. Is America great again yet? That's my question for you. Is America great again yet? Does it look like it's great again? It looks to me like it's getting worse. It looks to me like we're getting closer and closer to just outright Nazi German atrocities here. All right, so let me give you more. Here we go. This is Tom Homan, the border czar, and he's going to be asked by this Fox News host basically about what's going on with these deportations with no due process that the administration says they're Venezuelan gang members, but there's zero fucking evidence of that. Listen to what Tom Homan says.
We made a promise to the American people. The President Trump has made a promise to the American people. We're going to make this country safe again. I wake up every morning loving my job because I work for the greatest president in the history of my life, and we're going to make this country safe again. I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
Yeah. I just love seeing you going through these protesters just crunching on the apple as their liberal tears just flew out the hallway. Tom Homan, thanks so much for joining the
Did you hear that part? He was saying, like, as their liberal tears fill the hallway. That's what he was saying. That's literally, their whole politics is that. Their whole politics is, I hate trans people, I hate immigrants, and oh my God, I triggered the libs. Look at me, I triggered the libs, bro. I'm so amazing, bro. If that's your politics, you're humiliating. Like, for real, you're, like, embarrassing. You should be afraid to show your face in public. Like, what? That's what's at the core of your politics. Not like, hey, let's improve everybody's life. Let's make a system that works better. Let's give people more opportunity. Let's protect people's rights. It's, I pissed off. I triggered the libs. Fucking brainworms. But you heard what he said. He was like, I don't care what the judges say. Oh, you don't? Well, I hope there are lawyers that are taking notes as we speak with every admission that these assholes give us, because every day they give us more and more admissions. Okay, I got more for you. Here's Alina Habba, obviously very close to the president. Here's what she says.
Look at the Kaylin Riley. Look at what they're doing, Laken Riley. It's not okay. And what we've done is removed these individuals from our states. So then to have a federal judge come in and say, hey, I don't agree with the president of the United States with an executive order, it's unthinkable and it's ridiculous.
It's unthinkable and it's ridiculous for a judge to literally do their job. What we're talking about here is like Law 101. She's a lawyer. This is Marbury versus Madison. This is judicial review. This is co-equal branches of government. This is the court saying, you, Mr. President, are not following the law. Whereas their position is the president should be able to say, I'm above the law. I am the law. I do whatever I want. And they keep talking about it like, bro, we're rounding up all the violent criminal gang members. Are you fucking kidding me? It's been proven these aren't violent criminal gang members. Some of them aren't even undocumented. Jesus Christ, man. What the fuck is becoming of this country? What is becoming of this country? This is terrifying to watch. This is horrifying. Like, and all this information comes out about who these people are. They just fucking ignore it. They just ignore it. Basically, every article that's come out is like, yep, this person's innocent, this other person's innocent, this person's innocent. And they're like, we're deporting the violent criminals. Guys, the reason why they're rounding up all these innocent people, ICE now has a quota. At least 1,200 arrests and deportations per day. Well, you blow through the number of violent, criminal, undocumented immigrants literally within like the first week. There aren't that many violent, criminal, undocumented immigrants, or even just criminal, undocumented immigrants, right? And so if you have to keep deporting 1,200 a day or arresting 1,200 per day, and after the first week of the presidency, we're through all the violent criminals, who the fuck is left? All innocent people. And they're proud of it. So Trump comes out, ready for this? Oh my God. Trump comes out and says this. The radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker and agitator who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, was not elected president. All right, let me pause here to point out he's being incredibly misleading. This judge was originally appointed by George W. Bush. And then Obama put him in a different place, right? But what that goes to show you is, if anything, his ideological leanings are more centrist. In fact, Some people have said this guy, when it comes to national security issues in particular, he more leans right. As I said to you guys, it doesn't matter what the ideological leanings are of these judges. They're all going to say the same thing. Obviously, you can't say, fuck due process, don't care about any of that, ship them off to a slave labor camp in El Salvador, even though there's zero evidence they've done anything wrong. I mean, this is mental. But he's going on the offense. Trump continues. He didn't win the popular vote by a lot. He didn't win all 7 swing states. He didn't win 2,750 to 525 counties. He didn't win anything. I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate. But fighting illegal immigration may have been the number one reason for this historic victory. This is not what you're doing, you fucking liar. This has nothing to do with fighting illegal immigration. As we already pointed out, many of these people are legal immigrants. And for the ones that are illegal, they're not who you say you are, which is who you say they are, which is Tren de Aragua, members of the Venezuelan gang. So, again, just having the details checked of what he's talking about, he's against that. So what this really is about is I need to consolidate power. I want to be an emperor. I want to be an overlord. I want to be a god king. I want to be a fascist dictator. That's what this is really about. He continues. I'm just doing what voters want me to do. This judge, like many of the crooked judges I am forced to appear before, should be impeached. We don't want vicious, violent, demented criminals, again, not criminals, many of them deranged murderers, again, not true, in our country. Make America great again. This is so stupid for so many reasons. First of all, I love the implication that other presidents don't deport violent, criminal, undocumented immigrants. Barack Obama deported them. Joe Biden deported them. Of course, Kamala Harris would have deported them. It's not some fucking novel idea to be like, oh, the violent, criminal, undocumented immigrants, we're against them. Every president is against them. I know you guys pretend that the Democrats aren't, but you're fucking pretending and you're lying. Go check the record, right? That's the first point. Second point is none of that is true about these people, and you don't give a fuck about due process. If you had nothing to hide, you would say, of course I want them to get their day in court so I could prove how evil and terrible they are and that they should be deported. But he's saying, impeach the judge. Why? For checking my ass, for disagreeing with me, for upholding the law and the Constitution in this instance. That's what he's saying. So you ready for this? Immediately after Trump posts this, impeach this judge for doing their job. Look at the little pathetic, weaselly, slimy, sycophantic bitches in the Republican caucus. Just hours after President Trump called for the impeachment of a federal judge who ruled against his deportation of hundreds of Venezuelans over the weekend, House Republicans introduced a measure to do just that. So I believe this is that closet case dude who's also massively anti-gay. Shocker. He was like, yes, let's impeach this judge for doing his job and believing in checks and balances and believing in the U.S. Constitution. Yes. Thank you, Daddy. Hear my liege. Hear my liege, Trump. These people are beyond humiliating. Beyond humiliating. There's going to come a day where the history books look back at this time, and these people will probably be the most despised and the most besmirched by their own actions. So finally, let's get to this. This is where it gets really interesting. Chief Justice John Roberts chimes in. Ready? For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. This is a very justice-like way, judge-like way of saying, you're out of fucking line, dude. You better fall back. That's what Chief Justice John Roberts is saying. And remember, Chief Justice John Roberts is a hardcore right-winger. Hardcore right-winger. And he's like, nah, we're not talking about impeaching a judge because they checked your ass and did their job. We're not doing that. So that's kind of a big deal. But look, there's a flip side to this coin too, right? Which is it's Chief Justice John Roberts that gave Trump all the power in the first place. Chief Justice John Roberts said, oh, Trump, anything that you think in your own mind is an official action, then you can't be held criminally liable for that, even when you're out of office. As long as you think what you're doing is an official action, you're good. You're good. Well, you jackass, now you're witnessing the fruits of that labor, right? You made your bed and now you're sleeping in it. Because now Trump's going, I'm going to do 7,000 things that are not even borderline illegal, totally illegal. But I'll just say to you as I'm doing it, no, this is part of my official actions. I made clear on the campaign trail I wanted to do this, so I did this. Hey, you gave me the green light, dog. It was John Roberts who gave Trump the green light. But John Roberts was acting like, oh, if I give Trump this leeway, he's still going to be reasonable with the power. That's how he was acting. Oh, if I tell him anything he thinks is official is okay, he's not going to do, like, obviously unconstitutional things. And Trump's like, no, of course I fucking am. Duh. So he brought this upon himself, John Roberts did. But what's interesting is he seemingly didn't know how bad it would get, how quickly, right? And so they're heading for a showdown. The Supreme Court is heading for a showdown with Donald Trump. And it's going to be wild to see. Because on the one hand, they might actually stand up to him, which would be great. And in that scenario, is it possible they back away from the edge? Sure. Is it also possible they say what Andrew Jackson said? The Supreme Court made its decision. Now let's see them enforce it. Right? Because effectively, they have no enforcement mechanism. They rely on the good faith of the other parties to carry it out. So that's a bit of an oversight there, isn't it? So it's very possible they side against Trump, and then Trump overrides it anyway, and then boom, we're just a total fascist country, right? I mean, we're already there, given that he's rejecting other court orders, all willy-nilly, and like gloating about it after the fact. But that would be the ultimate example, just ignoring the Supreme Court. I mean, there's been instances in the past of, like, of course, FDR basically blurred the line and did similar things, but of course, in FDR's case, it was like, I'm going to use my executive power for the objective good of the people. It was like, hey, I'm going to twist your arm and say, you better say the New Deal is constitutional. And that was like the greatest thing that happened to this country. So it's one thing to use extreme power in service of the American people. It's another thing to use extreme power to completely and utterly destroy the rule of law and due process and to just consolidate power around yourself and have no checks and balances for the sake of having no checks and balances. Because ultimately, that's what Trump cares about. Money, power, and control. And he wants total control. And so here's another scary possibility. It's possible that by the time we get to the Supreme Court, they side with Trump on whatever the issue may be, because they know, hey, if we side against him, he could just not listen to us, and then it's very clear we're a paper tiger. It's very clear, like, we will lose our power simply based on the fact that people now know, hey, we have no enforcement mechanism, right? So it's also possible they go, yeah, what he did is legal. Here's a bunch of rationalizing and justifying of it. We agree with him. He's legally correct. It's possible they do that just to cover their own ass, so that post-Trump, they still feel like, hey, we have power, and if we say something now, whoever the next presidents are will listen, right? But we've been in similar places in the past. When the Supreme Court made their decision on Plessy versus Ferguson, basically the whole country, or certainly the North, was like, yeah, we're not doing that. Go fuck yourself. And on that one, obviously, it was a good one to react like that, because that was Plessy versus Ferguson basically upheld slavery, right? And so sometimes it does make sense to buck the system. But this is an instance of Trump bucking the system because he wants to be a fascist, right? Like that's what's at the heart of this. And that is absolutely terrifying. And everybody needs to understand this crossroads that we're at, and that it's never been more dire than it is right now. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.